Topic of today's discussion is post-harvest processing of cocoons. Content of this topic are stifling, sorting, storage, deflossing and riddling. Introduction. Bombyx mori cocoon is formed of single silk fiber joined by sericin or silk glue. There is also presence of negligible amount of ash and coloring matter. Post-harvest processing of cocoon is necessary before reeling because we need to remove sericin, we need to remove ash, coloring matter so as to get shiny, lustrous silk fiber. Post-harvest processing of cocoons includes stifling, drying and storing, cooking and boiling, deflossing and riddling. First is stifling. This is the first step of post-harvest processing of cocoon. Its definition is to prevent the emergence of adult from the cocoons. The pupa inside are killed by various methods and this is called as stifling. Another definition is stifling is a process of killing the pupa and drying the cocoons for storage. There are three methods of stifling: sun drying, steam stifling and hot air conditioning. Sun drying. Cocoons are spread in direct sunlight for long time. Merits of this method is it is easy, cheap and can be stored for a long time. Reeling is possible soon after drying. So in tropical country like India, this is a very easy method because we have lots of sunshine in summer season. Demerits of this method, it requires large amount of sunlight which is not available at all places and in all seasons. We need more time, more labor and space for spreading the cocoons. Shell hardens affecting reliability because you cannot control the temperature here, so the shell may harden if it is exposed to more sunlight. Steam stifling. Hot and wet steam is passed over the harvested cocoons to kill the pupa. Merit of this method is stifling of cocoon is more uniform and fast compared to sun drying. Large amount of cocoons can be stifled in a short time. So we save on time, we save on labor and space. Demerits of this method is cocoons remain wet and cannot be stored for a long time. It needs seasoning, that is 3 days of drying before reeling. Incomplete seasoning leads to staining of the cocoon, fungal growth on the cocoon and silk wastage. Hot air conditioning. In this method, stifling and drying of cocoon is done simultaneously using hot air conditioning. In Italian conditioners, the cocoons are first exposed to 50 degrees centigrade and then slowly increased to 90 degrees centigrade. And in the conditioning units of Japan, the cocoons are first exposed to 95 degrees and then slowly decreased to 55 degrees centigrade. This is suitable for any amount of cocoons. It is better for bivoltine species. It requires less labor and can be stored for long time. Demerits are the equipments are costly. Skilled persons are necessary for repair and maintenance. It is not suitable for different sized cocoons available in Indian markets. We mostly have multivoltine races in India and very few large bivoltine races. So this is not suitable for India. This is a hot air dryer. From outside you can see it, and this is the inside of the hot air dryer where trays are there, mesh trays in which cocoons are placed and hot air circulates. Temperature and timing can be monitored. Next is cocoon sorting. Sorting of cocoon is done by spreading the stifled cocoon on the table, and defective cocoons are removed by the sorters. Cocoon defects observed as a result of defective rearing method and mounting method includes double cocoons. This is because of less space. During the process of rearing, when the worms are more and the number of chandrika are less, then more worms are there on single mountage, and because of that two worms may start spinning cocoon side by side, and this leads to sticking of the cocoon, double cocoon. Immature cocoons are those cocoons which are formed by unripe larvae. So unlike unripe larvae, when you put it on the mountage, then they move here and there in search of food, and after some time when they mature, they spin cocoons. So in the end of their life, they did not get feed, and the cocoon that they spin are flimsy. Premature cocoons are a result of incomplete pupation. So the larva was not mature enough, and we have harvested the cocoons earlier, and because of that the larva did not get converted into pupa. Stained or soiled cocoons. When the pupa inside dies due to any reason, then it emits liquid which stains the cocoon and soils the cocoon. Small sized cocoons or flimsy cocoons, these are because of unequals. So when a rearing method is not properly followed, in that case when the feeding is not given properly, some of the worms they grow more and some of the worms lag behind in their growth. As a result, we have unequal worms and we have unequal sized cocoons, some large, some small, some flimsy. Malformed cocoons. So cocoons may have impressions on them. The texture may not be uniform. This is because of environmental fluctuations at the time of formation of cocoon or disturbance to the worm during cocoon formation. Mute cocoons. Mute cocoons are those cocoons in which the pupa dies and sticks to the shell, because under normal conditions when the pupa is alive we can hear a small clicking sound when we shake the cocoon slowly. Calcified cocoons. When the larvae is infected by fungal disease such as muscardine, it spins cocoon and the pupa inside is also infected one, and it is calcified and dies. So such cocoons are calcified cocoons. Fragile or thin shelled cocoons, or because of improper storage conditions. Urinated cocoons are those cocoons which are spoiled by other worms. Fungus attacked cocoons are those cocoons which are having fungal growth on them. Double layered cocoons are the large cocoons where there are many layers of silk and it is not reliable. Defective cocoons as a result of parasitic infestation includes perforated cocoons. This may be due to oozy fly and mastid beetles. Defective cocoons as a result of emergence of moth. This is because when the harvesting is done late, then the adult emerges out from the cocoon and it pierces the cocoon. Such pierced cocoon do not fetch market price. Storage of cocoons. Cocoons that are seasoned are either reeled immediately or stored in godowns for further reeling. This is in case of steam stifled cocoons. And steam stifled cocoons can be stored for 1 month because they are wet. Hot air stifled cocoons can be kept for 4 to 6 months because they are dried. Even Sun-dried cocoons can be stored for a long time. During storage, attack by dermastid beetle is very common because dermastid beetles are attracted towards the smell of stifled cocoons. So wherever stifled cocoons are there, attacked by dermastid beetle is common. So one has to keep checking for dermastid beetle. Fungal growth also occurs if the cocoons are stored in heaps. So usually a person has to check it regularly and has to move the cocoons upside down so that fungal growth will not occur. Precaution against pests and fungal infection has to be taken when the cocoons are stored. So complete drying of cocoons is must to avoid fungal infection. There should be proper ventilation and humidity should be less than 70%, otherwise there will be fungal growth. Carbon dioxide fumigation is important to prevent oozy fly infestation. Frequent inspection and turning of cocoons to remove moldy or infected cocoons. So whenever you find moldy cocoons, those cocoons have to be removed. This is possible only if you go on inspecting it regularly. Cocoon deflossing. Cocoon on its outer side is covered by unreliable tangled mass of silk called as floss. This floss is not reliable, therefore it has to be removed. The method by which floss is removed is called as deflossing. This is done to find the reeling end and to have unhindered reeling. Okay, so when you remove the floss, you will find the end of the thread and you can start reeling by picking the end of the thread. It is done just before reeling. It is done either manually or electrically operated brushes. For multivoltine species, it is done manually because in case of multivoltine species, they are not reeled on multi-end reeling machines. They are reeled usually by charkha or in cottage basin. So it is done manually. It requires more labor and time, but the benefit of this method is that only desired floss is removed. Brushes operated by hand or machine is used for deflossing prior to reeling in case of univoltine and bivoltine cocoons, because usually univoltine and bivoltine cocoons are reeled on machines. So here even the deflossing can be done by hand operated deflossers or or machine operated deflossers. In charkha as well as in cottage basin reeling, we have seen ki usually multivoltine species cocoon are used here. It is the reeler who does the flossing by hand or by stick. Then cocoon riddling. Sorting of cocoons according to size to facilitate easy reeling in automatic reeling machines is called as riddling. So this is done only when you have to take the cocoons for reeling in automatic reeling machines. When you are doing cottage reeling or charkha reeling, then riddling is not necessary. For riddling purpose, the cocoons are passed through inclined cylinders. These cylinders have different sized perforations or holes, and the cylinders keep on rotating slowly. So through these different sized perforations, different sized cocoons fall on the ground separately. So through one sized perforation, one sized cocoons will form. Through another sized perforation, another sized cocoons will form. So in this way, segregation or sorting of cocoon occurs. So this is called as cocoon riddling. Thank you.